Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really fascinating sources today. We're looking at excerpts from an audiobook of 5 weeks in a balloon.
Hafta in the original source language we saw, yeah.
Exactly. And some articles discussing the novel, its impact. It's quite a journey they take.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic Jules Verne tale, isn't it? That
Right.
blend of, adventure and science really captures the imagination.
It does. And these sources give us a great way into his first big
It's a
success.
fantastic roadmap, yeah.
So our mission today, unpack this story.
Mm.
Who are these adventurers? What's this incredible machine they use?
The balloon, yeah. The Victoria.
And what absolute wild challenges did they run into trying to cross Africa back in the 1860s? We're aiming to give you that shortcut, the core of the story, with all those surprising bits the sources bring up.
It's quite the expedition, full of clever details, but also just sheer audacity, really. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with the mastermind. Dr. Samuel Ferguson. Who is this guy? What makes him the sort of person who could even dream this up?
Well, the sources paint him as around 40, but incredibly seasoned, fearless, really determined, super intelligent.
And tough, right? Physically tough.
Yeah, long, athletic build. One source mentioned he wasn't easily discouraged, could handle hunger, thirst, lack of sleep.
Sounds like the right stuff for exploration.
Definitely. Sharp, self-confident, a real scientific mind, but with that adventurer spirit, too. A true man of science and explorer, as one source put it.
And his background seems key. Wealthy family, son of a captain.
Right, and a cultured mother. So he had tutors, this incredibly broad education, math, literature, medicine, mechanics, physics, botany, you name it.
A real Victorian polymath.
Pretty much. And he got practical experience traveling the world with his father, the captain.
Until tragedy struck, I gather.
Yeah, he lost his parents young in a ship accident, so he had to rely on all that knowledge and skill just to get by. Excelled in different fields, even the military.
It ended up in Zanzibar.
As a correspondent for the Daily Telegraph, yeah. Which put him right there, seeing Africa, seeing the exploration efforts firsthand.
And seeing the failures, which is crucial for his idea. He saw why ground expeditions just weren't making it across Africa.
Exactly. The sources list all those obstacles, the dense forests, these deep valleys and cliffs you couldn't cross.
The brutal climate, the animals.
Dangerous local groups, sometimes hostile, even rumors of cannibals, and of course, disease. All these things just stopped explorers in their tracks.
So his big idea was, if you can't go through it.
Go above it. The balloon becomes the logical, if radical, solution.
Bypassing all the ground level dangers.
Precisely. Avoid the terrain, the rivers, the direct confrontations. It sounds wild, but Verne presents it as this rational, scientific answer to the problem.
But he doesn't go solo. Tell us about his team. Dick Kennedy and Joe. They sound different.
Huh. Yeah, maybe a bit less scientifically minded. Dick Kennedy is an old friend from military days in India.
Big guy, right. A hunter.
2 meters tall, skilled hunter, crack shot. But interestingly, the sources really stress how much he was against the trip at first. Thought it was just crazy dangerous.
Which says a lot about their friendship. That he went anyway.
It does. There's that line, something like, "You've convinced me, but never without me." Ferguson's determination and their bond won him over.
Okay, and then there's Joe.
Joe, yeah. Dr. Ferguson's helper. Loyal, skillful, had traveled with the doctor before.
Also hesitant.
Also hesitant, yeah. The sources mention he liked travel, but the dangers they'd already faced were starting to get to him.
But loyalty won out.
Loyalty to his boss, absolutely. So you have this dynamic. Ferguson, the brains and leader. Dick, the muscle, the protector, the hunter.
And Joe.
Joe's the practical support. Cook, general helper, just utterly loyal, keeps things running. They each bring something vital.
And the fourth character, really, is the balloon. Victoria. Not your average balloon.
No way. Designed by Ferguson himself, worked on it for months. The sources highlight some really forward-thinking features for the time.
Like the double balloon thing.
Exactly. 2 balloons, different sizes, one inside the other. A major safety feature. The idea was if the outer one got punctured.
The inner one could keep them flying. Clever.
Very. Made of special silk, springs under the basket for landing.
But the real game changer was the altitude control, wasn't it?
That was the key for long distance. It used hydrogen, but heated by this special flame machine.
So they didn't have to just keep throwing ballast overboard.
Right. It allowed for stable, long flights without constantly losing gas or weight in the same way. Much more advanced, as one source put it.
Okay, so he's got the groundbreaking tech, the brave, if slightly reluctant crew,
Yeah.
and this incredibly ambitious plan. 4,000 miles across Africa, east to west, link up exploration points, find the source of the Nile. This is where the real adventure
It
starts.
really is. And the journey kicks off with a bit of drama back in London. Ferguson presents his plan to the Royal Geographical Society.
I bet that went down well. A balloon across Africa in the
Caused
1860s.
quite a stir, yeah. Disbelief, fascination. He had to really sell the technical side, that gas system, to this skeptical audience.
Okay, so he convinces them, or at least intrigues them. Then it's off to Africa.
Packed onto the ship Resolute, friend Captain Terry in command, and they sail for Zanzibar.
And things get tricky right away in Zanzibar, don't they?
Immediately, the British consul meets them, warns them straight up. The locals see the strange flying machine, these foreigners.
Bad news.
A very bad omen, yeah. Hundreds gather, ready to attack. Pure superstition, but very real danger.
Wow, so they can't even inflate the thing safely there.
Nope. They have to quickly move it to a smaller, safer island nearby, inflate it overnight under guard.
Tense start.
Very. The first flight, dramatic. Locals are stunned, scared. Some shoot arrows, but the Victoria rises fast, out of reach.
And they're off into the interior, following the plan.
Following Ferguson's plan, using notes from earlier explorers like Defoe and Peake, building on what was known, but from this totally new perspective.
And what do they see from up there? How do people react?
It varies wildly according to the sources. Some villages, they see them as enemies, shoot arrows. Others think the balloon is like sacred or mysterious. They fall to the ground praying. Imagine seeing that.
Incredible contrast. And their first night shows the other dangers, right? The wildlife.
Yeah, a little run-in with monkeys near Tutu Mountain while Joe's on watch. Just a reminder that Africa's wild, even when you're landing briefly.
So as they push deeper, Ferguson is all business, taking notes, mapping.
Meticulously. He's the scientist, right? Recording latitudes, longitudes, charting rivers, lakes, all from the air.
And the Nile source is a big goal.
Huge goal. They follow its flow, trying to confirm its path, and finding Defoe's rock with his initials.
Wow.
That's a significant moment.
Connecting their journey to past efforts.
Exactly. Linking back to those who tried and often failed on the ground.
But even airborne, those ground dangers aren't entirely gone. Animals are still a threat.
Oh, yeah. Vultures become a real problem later on, actually attacking the balloon itself, trying to pierce the fabric.
Yikes. And encounters with people. Not always friendly, even from afar.
Definitely not. They spot groups suspected of being cannibals, have to ascend quickly to get away.
And they witness conflict.
Witness a brutal tribal war, yeah. A massacre, one source calls it. A horrific view from above, showing the human dangers, too.
Which leads to that incredible rescue attempt. They hear screams.
Desperate cries from below. They figure someone's been captured, possibly by cannibals. Ferguson cooks up this daring plan.
Using the balloon's light.
Yeah, connecting two coals to create this super bright flash. The idea is to blind and confuse the captors below for a moment.
Resourceful. Did it work?
It did. The source describes the forest lighting up like day. They spot the captive, a man tied to a tree. Looks like a missionary.
And they managed to pull him up.
Successfully haul him into the basket. A French missionary, turns out,
Yeah.
but tragically, he's too far gone. Dies shortly after the rescue.
Oh, wow. So heroism, but still tragedy. A harsh reality check.
Absolutely underscores the brutality they're flying over.
And then, near where they bury him, something totally unexpected happens.
Gold. On this little rocky island, they just stumble upon gold nuggets.
Joe gets pretty excited, right?
Over the moon. Thinks they've struck it rich. Starts loading gold into the balloon.
But it actually serves a purpose beyond potential wealth.
This is the fascinating part. It becomes ballast. They needed to shed weight anyway, especially after the rescuing attempt and burial.
So they collect gold just to be able to throw it out later to control altitude?
Exactly. It's heavy, dense. Perfect ballast. A bizarre twist tragedy leads to potential wealth, which becomes a practical tool for survival.
That practicality gets tested to the extreme soon after, though. The desert.
Oh, the desert. That's maybe their biggest environmental challenge. Endless sand, no water, extreme heat, desperate thirst. They find a well.
But it's dry.
Bone dry. Real despair sets in. They're barely moving, stuck in this oppressive heat.
But Ferguson, the scientist, he has an idea, doesn't he? A risky one.
He observes the conditions, the stillness, the heat, and theorizes it might mean a sandstorm is coming.
Which sounds terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. But he thinks it might also be their only hope. The wind could blow them out of the desert.
So they wait, watching the barometer.
tense waiting. Imagine the relief mixed with dread when the barometer finally drops, proving him right.
And the storm hits. What's that like?
Violent, uncontrolled, they're tossed around, sand everywhere, even in the basket. Total fear, just hoping they don't crash. Completely at the mercy of the elements.
But his gamble pays off spectacularly.
Incredibly, the storm, this destructive force, literally blows them right out of the desert. When it calms down, they're over a lush, green, watered area.
Salvation. Almost
It
miraculous.
really feels that way in the narrative. An amazing turnaround after facing death by thirst.
But the dangers keep coming. Over a lake, later. Vultures again.
Vultures again, yeah. This time they really go for the balloon, piercing the outer fabric with their beaks.
Causing a serious leak.
A serious leak. They start losing altitude fast. It's a critical situation.
So they start throwing things out.
Everything. Supplies, equipment,
Yeah.
even the gold nuggets they gathered. Anything with weight.
But it's still not enough.
Still not enough. The balloon keeps falling. They've run out of options.
Which leads to Joe's incredible act.
Yes, the ultimate sacrifice. He goes to the edge of the basket, says something like, "We don't all need to die. Goodbye, friends."
Good jump.
Jumps to lighten the load just enough to save Ferguson and Dick.
Just devastating for them. They must think he's gone.
Completely devastated, assume he's lost, but this is Verne. Joe's story isn't over.
His survival is just unbelievable.
Absolutely improbable. Lands in a river, survives crocodiles, escapes locals, gets captured by Arabs, escapes them. It's wild.
And somehow they find each other again.
Pure chance, almost. Joe's running from the Arabs, spots the balloon way off in the distance it had drifted. He shouts, kicks up dust.
And they see him.
They spot the dust cloud. An incredibly emotional rescue. He's pulled back in, tells his story. It's about resilience, luck, and that incredible bond.
So Joe's back. But the balloon's damaged. Supplies are low. The journey isn't easy from here.
No, it's tough. More close calls, escaping a huge forest fire they spot from above, getting hit by another arrow, worsening the leak.
The physical toll must be immense by now.
Immense. But they're hardened, resolute, just pushing towards the end point, the West Coast.
And the end itself is dramatic. A crash landing.
Yeah, the balloon finally gives out. They lose altitude too fast, crash into a river, exhausted, nearly drowning.
The absolute end of the line.
Seems like it. But then, one last bit of luck, or fate, a British Army patrol happens to be nearby on reconnaissance.
This pulls him out.
Pulls him out of the river. The lieutenant in command actually recognizes Dr. Ferguson, knows about the expedition.
Incredible timing.
Unbelievable. He offers help, and Ferguson, standing there soaked but alive, declares the journey over. 5 weeks, he says, dangerous but enjoyable. Now we return home.
And they accept the ride to the nearest British post. Journey complete.
Against all odds, journey complete.
So reflecting on all this, it's more than just a trip, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
about the whole idea of exploration.
Absolutely. It's a testament to that human drive, pushing boundaries, using science, even Verne's speculative science to tackle the impossible.
And the characters are changed by it all.
Profoundly. Their bonds tested, strengthened. They face death, lose hope, find it again, gain this deep appreciation for life, for each other.
And the novel's impact, it basically kicked off a genre.
Big
Wow.
science novel, yeah. That mix of detailed science and thrilling adventure was revolutionary. It inspired writers, sparked debate among scientists even, blurred the lines between what was fiction and what might actually be possible someday.
Made people look at those blank spots on the map and really wonder.
Exactly. Imagine reading that in the 1860s.
What a story. Zanzibar to that river rescue, sandstorms, cannibals, vultures, Joe's sacrifice and return. It's just packed.
It really highlights the unknowns of that era and the sheer guts and ingenuity it took to face them. Pushing technology, pushing human limits.
Makes you think about exploration differently. It's not just about planting flags, is it? It's about relying on each other, adapting, and, yeah, sometimes incredible luck.
And maybe discovering things about yourself along the way. Your own resilience, your own limits.
That's a great point. So, thinking about Dr. Ferguson and his crew's whole deep dive across Africa,
Yeah.
what really stands out to you? What should we be mulling over after hearing about this journey?